According to a 2021 survey, 3 out of 4 Venezuelans lived in extreme poverty. The country also has the world's highest inflation rate. But here's the shocker. Venezuela has more oil reserves than UAE and Qatar combined. How is it that the country with the world's largest oil reserves is also one of the most economically unstable? The story of Venezuela largely exemplifies the rather strange problems that have characterized South America in the 21st century. South American countries such as Brazil, which were once tipped to grow into global economic powerhouses, have experienced economic stagnations or regressions. At the same time, insecurity and uncertainties have forced millions of South Americans to flee their countries mainly for the United States. But how did the United States and Canada manage to achieve rapid economic growth in contrast to their southern neighbors? Does North America have a better geographic position, culture, or more natural resource reserves than the South? In this episode, we examine the factors that have hindered South America from achieving economic prosperity. Why is South America poor? A tale of 2 colonial foundations. Like many other developing regions of the world, South America was colonized by several European powers. Spain and Portugal governed various parts of the region from the 15th to 19th centuries. In contrast to the situation today, South America was far richer and more promising in colonial times than its northern neighbor. The South was rich in various valuable resources ranging from gold, silver, and precious stones to very fertile lands. Furthermore, the area was home to several settled nations that had built civilizations and magnificent infrastructure, including fabulous palaces and temples decorated with precious metals. The Iberian colonizers quickly filled their treasuries with large amounts of wealth captured from wars against these tribes. Systems such as the encomienda were introduced to exploit the native population for forced labor on settler-owned farms. South American society was stratified, with the white settlers placed permanently at the top of the social ladder and virtually no means of social mobility made available for the native population. At the same time, the colonizers made little effort to industrialize the area, preferring to import manufactured goods from Europe while using South America as a source of raw materials. The North, by contrast, was relatively lacking in resources and manpower. The weather was colder and natural resources were in comparatively lesser supply. Moreover, the area was underpopulated with the native population mainly made up of tribes that were nomadic, making them relatively unsuited for organized labor. In fact, some researchers believe that the Spanish and Portuguese, who were the first to reach the Americas, chose not to colonize the North chiefly because of a lack of economic incentive to do so. These factors meant that the European settlers in North America were forced to work hard and innovate to survive. However, the South American colonial powers relied on the exploitation of raw materials and forceful suppression of the lower classes in the society. The failed economic messiahs. From Hugo Chavez of Venezuela to Evo Morales of Bolivia, and many others, most South American countries have had several populist leaders who came into power at various points in their post-colonial history. These leaders come from all sides of the political spectrum and ride into power on promises to turn the tide of their country's socio-economic fortunes and bring about prosperity. Their followers are drawn by the leaders' charismatic speeches and promises of quick fixes to the country's ills. It also does not help that many of these leaders manipulate economic information to give the public the false impression that the country is moving in the right direction. Poor regional economic integration. From the European Union to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, regional integration has proven to be crucial to driving economic growth. However, creating and running an effective system for seamless intra-regional trade remains a challenge for the South American continent. As the region has several states run by parties and individuals with differing and sometimes conflicting ideologies, it is difficult to reach a consensus on regional economic plans. Furthermore, rivalries and disputes between various countries have also served to worsen the problem. For example, Bolivia has been locked in a territory dispute with its neighbor Chile for over 100 years. As a result, trade between both countries has been strained. South America's lack of proper regional economic cooperation has had a telling impact on the economy of the region for several reasons. First, local companies are not able to access markets across national borders in the region. Furthermore, the high costs associated with intra-regional logistics dissuade foreign companies from investing in the area. However, North America had quite the opposite experience. The North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, and other similar frameworks have largely succeeded in removing the barriers to trade between the US, Canada, and Mexico, making their economies stronger and more resilient. Going forward, several efforts have been made to mitigate the issues that have plagued the South American region. For instance, the South American Community of Nations, CSN, and the Mercado Común del Sur, Mercosur, have been set up to promote regional integration and cooperation. However, they remain troubled by tensions and distrust in the region, and some countries have withdrawn their memberships from these groups. Instability. Many parts of South America have faced several political, social, and economic challenges which have led to chaos and uncertainties in the region. Popular discontent with the government's inability to handle problems such as inflation has often resulted in revolutions, coups, and ousters. The frequency of coup attempts in the region is quite shocking. Bolivia, for instance, has recorded approximately 200 coups and coup attempts in its history, with 23 of these taking place between 1950 and 2019. No other country in the world has witnessed as many coups. With governments changing so frequently and abruptly, it is impossible for countries to have stable economic policies. South America has been a major hub for international drug dealers who grow and traffic cocaine through the area. The presence of drug gangs and cartels has often resulted in violent clashes and insecurities in countries such as Venezuela and Colombia. The corruption problem in these countries have also been worsened as a result. Furthermore, as the economies of several South American countries are dependent on raw material exports, changes in international commodity prices often result in economic fluctuations, inflation, and rising unemployment rates. A stable and safe environment is necessary for national economic growth as businesses can operate with certainty and freedom. Weak institutions. As explained earlier, the socio-economic structure of many South American countries today is largely influenced by the colonial system of elite domination with few checks available. A lack of strong institutions can lead to economic crises in various ways. In Venezuela, for example, the inability of the judiciary and legislature to exercise effective checks upon the country's president has led to the concentration of power in the hands of the executive. Without the chains of strong institutions, the presidents proceeded to mismanage the country's economy, leading to unprecedented levels of poverty and inflation in the country. A major evidence of the weakness of South America's institutions is the spate of corruption cases and scandals that rock the region every now and then. For example, in the Operation Car Wash corruption scandal, various companies were discovered to have paid billions of dollars to get contracts with the Brazilian government. Inflated contracts, bribes, and kickbacks are just some of the corrupt practices which have drained significant amounts of valuable financial resources from countries in the region. The Brazilian police have since cracked down on suspected perpetrators linked to this crime, confiscating illegally acquired assets and shutting down bank accounts linked to criminals. However, there is still plenty of work for the security agencies to do in this regard. The prevalence of corruption means that many public services and programs in the region are often undermined. The government's capacity to spur or induce economic growth is therefore limited significantly. Furthermore, foreign investors are scared away as they are unable to trust the government. With its large human and natural resources, South America remains a region with great potential for economic success. To properly harness these potentials and achieve socio-economic progress, it is important for governments in the area to prioritize transparency and accountability, build strong democratic institutions, and promote increased regional cooperation. Do you have any more ideas on how to turn the economic situation in South America around? Please let us know in the comments section. Thanks for watching.